Hi, I am Liz Hocker, and I'm the Managing Director of New Listings and Capital Markets at Nasdaq. I am at the Silicon Slopes Summit in Salt Lake City, Utah right now with my friend here, Beau Oyler, who is the Chief Design Officer of Enlisted Design and Pattern. Beau, welcome.
Thanks, Liz. Great to be here.
Thank you for sitting down with us to visit. I have so many things to ask you about. I know we just have a few minutes, but I would love to just talk to you a little bit about you and sort of your background and Enlisted Design first, and then I want to hear about Pattern.
Absolutely. So I'm a design entrepreneur. I would say half of my obsession is around design and just fixated on creating things that people love, that bring joy to people's lives, usually products and product experiences, so consumer brands and consumer products. And then the other half of me is obsessed with creating companies and watching those companies thrive and getting to the point where they can go public or where they can go into a market and revolutionize a market. And so I call myself the design entrepreneur, and that's really kind of where I spend my day.
Well, I know you work with some pretty cool companies. I saw on your website that you worked with some that actually have gone public on Nasdaq, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But it's cool to hear that you actually help them along their path and their journey for growth.
We do, yeah. And, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. But you mentioned Cravable. Becoming craveable, and helping those companies create a craveable brand. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we call it, right? So I think as consumers, most of us have had this experience where we see something, or we're shopping, in retail, and we see something, we may not even know what it is, but we already want it. Well, what is that? Like, honestly, these objects, these things that we buy as consumers, we shouldn't feel any emotional connection to them. They're inanimate objects, okay? And our magic at Enlisted is that we are able to create an emotive response to these inanimate objects. And so to connect a consumer, a person, with this inanimate object with some kind of emotional connection, it helps to build a brand. And in order to do that, you have to have the right strategy, you have to have the right data insights, and you have to have the right design. Once you have that, you can begin to create these multiple touch points for the brand that creates a craveable brand. When you have a craveable brand, consumers want to buy your product, they want to advocate for your brand, they're posting on social, and it begins to create this flywheel, right, which grows the company. And so you grow the company to the point where it can potentially go public, and then people want to invest in it. They then want to be part of the company itself. And so we've seen that across a few different of our clients. So Allbirds shoes, Hims and Hers, and a number of different brands that we've created or been part of that have then been acquired by larger companies like Nestle.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Beast?
Yeah. So we are pretty heavily invested in the creator economy. We got a call a couple years ago from Night Media, which is the group who manages Mr. Beast. And we were pretty excited about that. So Mr. Beast, I think today is like the number 3 YouTuber in the world. And he's just he's a really good guy. So Jimmy Donaldson. And what he does is he essentially shares his wealth by doing these competitions on YouTube in which he invites people to win a Tesla or to win a chocolate factory or whatever. And so as part of his kind of growing creator empire, he started thinking, people, my subscribers, they want to eat candy, or they want a snack, or they want to get a burger, or they want to whatever. How could I offer them a better experience and really target Gen Z consumers? And so Mr. Beast and Knight partnered with Enlisted Design to begin creating CPG brands. So we created Mr. Beast Burger. They launched with 300 locations day one. Wow. Within the first year, they went to 1,200 locations, all through ghost kitchens. So not their own locations, but actually sending their menu to kitchens during the pandemic, restaurants who business was down because of the pandemic. And so it really helped these restaurants have business that then they could deliver to high schools or work or home or whatever. And then 3 weeks ago, he just opened his first location. And that was about a year in the works. And he posted a 30-second clip the night before he opened the location in New Jersey. And he had 10,000 people show up the next morning.
Oh my goodness.
10,000 people. So by, I think it was about 3 in the afternoon, he sold out 5,500 hamburgers day one.
That's a craveable brand right there.
That's a craveable brand. That's a great example of a craveable brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's been fun.
Yeah. So, we've talked a lot today with people about this creator economy.
Yeah.
And so I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So what's so powerful about the creator economy is that there are people who create for companies, right? Just like Enlisted does. So we create, companies hire us to create. Now, one of the ways in which we're part of the creator economy is that we oftentimes will partner with our clients with equity to create these brands and then be part of their business. So at a larger scale, what creators are doing is they are creating content or creating now brands that they have ownership over. So instead of just creating it for larger corporations to benefit financially from, they actually are benefiting from it as well. So the creators themselves have a piece of it, if not all of it, which is very empowering. So it's democratizing business. And 2-3 years ago, you could think, oh, well, that's kind of cute. So they have they have some shares in this or whatever. And then all of a sudden, somebody like Mr. Beast goes and raises $100 million to launch these brands. It's not cute anymore. It's legitimate business.
Yeah, that's legit, for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. So recently you joined you joined up with Pattern.
I did.
Tell me a little bit about that story.
So it's been a wild ride.
Okay.
It actually started 3 years ago at Silicon Slopes. So I was speaking on stage 3 years ago on how to create craveable brands. And I spoke on kind of the elements of what you need to do. And I had invited some of my friends, clients of mine, to come up and speak with me. And then I was just talking with some people and some clients of mine that were there. And the next person was coming up to speak on stage. I was like, oh, let's sit down, and just listen to whoever this is. And so Dave Wright, who's the co-founder of Pattern.com, he gets up on stage and begins to break down what Pattern is and how they accelerate brands online. And I'm thinking, I literally got chills. I'm like, every single one of my clients needs this Pattern thing. And so afterwards, I went right up to him and kind of fanboyed a little bit. And I'm just like, listen, I create brands that people want. You take those brands online and grow them. Let's come together and create our own brands. And so he invited me over to Pattern. I came over 2 months later and we started talking. And 6 weeks later, we just decided, actually, it wasn't so much of a we. He actually said something that was pretty interesting. He said, because to this point, I had already turned down Google. I had turned down other design agencies. I had no desire for acquisition. Enlisted was its own design agency. We were not in it to be acquired. Because when design agencies are acquired, it can be the kiss of death to the culture of the agency and the creativity of it. So that really wasn't on my roadmap. And Dave said something that's interesting. He said, Beau, between the brands that you can create and how I can accelerate with Pattern, I think you and I both know that I can do more with Enlisted than you can. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty
How did
brave.
that feel?
It was true.
Okay.
It was true. And so we essentially became partners. And so Dave and Mel, the co-founders of Pattern, and myself, we became partners to come together and begin to create our own brands. And so now what happens is, so I sold Enlisted to Pattern. We still function autonomously as a standalone design agency, but within the kind of Pattern family. And I spend about 80% of my time, 80% of my time with Enlisted and about 25% of my time with Pattern. And I'm on the M&A team, so we look at businesses to acquire, then wash through Enlisted to rebrand, reposition, redesign, and then relaunch onto the Pattern platform.
Wow.
It's pretty
You have
exciting.
the best of both worlds then.
Oh my gosh, Liz, honestly, I'm exhausted right now because it's been a really busy week. It's been a roller coaster. This whole thing that has been built is a dream come true. It's exactly what I want to be doing.
That's so exciting.
That's amazing.
Well, I really appreciate you stopping by to tell us
Yeah.
your story. I want to continue to watch and see how you
Yeah,
do.
thank
I
you.
want you to come back next
All right,
year
sounds
so
good.
that we can visit and I can hear the latest and greatest.
I
And-
promise.
okay. All right. Very
Sounds
good. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you so
All
much.
right.
Beau.
Absolutely. Thanks.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too.